Hi, I'm Quinn with Secrets of the Stage. This is the place where we pull back the curtains and we examine the creative process. And today I am so excited because I have a very special guest. I have Esther Muller. And Esther is an entrepreneur extraordinaire and so many other things that we're going to get to on this program. And we're talking about reinvention and finding all the dimensions that we have as women and as entrepreneurs, as business people. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so excited you're here, Esther.
You're excited. I'm excited because just a week or two ago, I watched Rita Hayworth. And of course, I loved the show. And now I'm with Rita Hayworth. So
well, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you after learning so much about all aspects of your life.
Well, trust me, watching you undress and dress on stage with the most gorgeous outfits made me think that get at least one good-looking outfit next time you go out. It was a fabulous show, I must tell you. I loved it. I loved you in it. And the fact that Rita was married 5 times, I didn't know that.
Yes, but 17 was her lucky number.
17 was, what does that mean?
17 husbands being getting the lucky one.
But she never got to 17.
No, she didn't. She only got to 5.
Well, is that because it was by choice getting to 5? Did she decide
I think it just happened that way. I think it just happened that way for her.
At 5. You notice Elizabeth Taylor was also 5. 5 seems to be kind of an interesting number.
5 is a magical number. I don't know about husbands. I've only been married once, but I know that 5 is like a fame number. It's a mystical number. My name means 5 in Gaelic.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
So 5 is. Well, I only have one son.
Which I cannot wait to talk about.
I have been married 4 times.
Okay.
Which is an exciting subject because it's my 4th husband that came into my life with a daughter who married my son.
Oh my goodness.
So it's an interesting dynamics of people saying, oh, you know, I can't get married again, I'll never love again. And there was my son who walked down during my 4th marriage and said, my mother had to marry 4 times to bring me a wife.
I love it.
So there is something very interesting about believing that things happen for a reason.
They do happen for a reason.
I didn't tell you this before, right? So you're surprised.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Now, you do so many things, but let's start with the family and your son.
Well, I did give birth to him when I was about 10 years old. I wanted to leave home, and I was 18 at the time.
Right.
And I was brought up by a very religious Jewish father, who a girl is supposed to get married and go have a lot of children. But I wanted to leave home.
And now, where were you living?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Where in Brooklyn?
Very famous Brooklyn, in a place called Borough Park.
Okay.
Which was a religious neighborhood.
I played Brighton Beach once with Burlesque at Broadway.
Oh,
that was fun. Yes.
Brighton Beach is nice. I lived in Mill Basin also. I lived in several places. I graduated Brooklyn College.
Wonderful.
So Brooklyn was not as famous when I was brought up, but it became the #1 city in the country. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. And just to give you a little bit of background, I was born in Israel, moved to Brooklyn when I was 11.
11, okay.
And my name, being Esther, was a strange name.
But it's such a mystical name. It's a spiritual name.
Well, when you get older, but when you're young and the kids say, Esther, that's like an old name. I said, no, that's my name, and I want it to be Esther. Well, my name became respectable when Madonna, years later, changed her name to Esther because she became a Kabbalist.
Kabbalah,
yes.
Right.
All of a sudden, Brooklyn becomes the #1 city in America. Esther is Madonna, and I'm invited to speak at the #1 real estate office in Brooklyn. There were 500 people there, and I stood proudly saying, I'm a girl from Brooklyn whose name is Esther, and I got such an applause. I went,
bet.
look, everything that was negative at the time turned out to be
A
what
positive.
branded me. Yes, all of a sudden, Brooklyn, I love it. You know,
Rita
did
was
you live
from
in
Brooklyn.
Carroll? No.
Yes, she was from Brooklyn.
Really?
And grew up in Hollywood.
I knew there's a relationship here.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean? I'm going to have a fifth marriage?
I
better
know,
not even
no. I
say
think
it.
your fourth is perfect.
Fourth is perfect.
That is such a unique story. So,
Yeah.
but your son, I
Yes,
mean,
my son.
Can you what is it? Raise and praise.
Yes, raise and praise is my new attitude because no one cares about my life before my son became the executive producer of Barbie.
Yes,
And
congratulations.
thank you, and it's
I
appropriate.
loved it. I brought my mom, my dad, and my little dog Alea to it when I was
And
home
your
at
dog?
Easter, and they loved it.
They loved it?
Yes.
So thank you, because 20 years ago, when he went to work at Mattel,
So he was the head of Mattel.
so Richard's background very quickly is he was a child of divorced family. He was my husband's first child, and he was my first and only child. And he was brought up with a mom who was very entrepreneurial. So I worked most of the time, and we liked nice things. So we would have once a year a business plan discussion. Richard, do you want to see me? If you want to see me, I can't work 7/24, and you'll have less. Or do you want to learn how to cook and how to be without me around much and have a second house in Connecticut and go to private schools and play tennis? And he said, Mom, I like all the good things.
Wonderful.
I'll learn how to cook and I'll learn how to do things. So we became partners.
How beautiful.
And I was 21 when I gave birth to him. And he became my partner because at 21, I didn't even have a college degree. At 21, 22, at 23, I decided I'm getting divorced because I want to go to college.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I went to Brooklyn College. Instead of in 4 years, it took me 7 years.
But you were
Because
raising Richard.
I was raising Richard. I was the Hill supermarket girl, packing all the stuff. So that was my job during the day. I sent him to Montessori school.
Oh, my sister went to Montessori.
Yes, so because I felt it was creative.
Yes, very.
And I went to college, and I graduated with a degree in early childhood education. So it was perfect.
So early on, you were teaching.
I love to teach. Early on, I knew that teaching is in my DNA. Can you tell?
I can tell.
Love to teach. And I really believe that education is the key to everything.
That's what my mom believed too.
So here I have this one child.
Who's your partner in crime? Your
Totally.
partner in life. My parents stayed married, but I was an only child until I was 8. I did everything.
Oh, me too. I was the only child until I was 8.
I know. I was like, why don't you put her? I love my sister now, but I went to the theater. I went to wine tastings. I went to the best restaurants. As I was with my mother, I traveled the world with her. I went to La Varenne and Cordon Bleu with her when I was 8, and like that is such a gift.
Yes. I remember taking him to Australia. I was part of this YPO organization, and I took him to Australia, and he was 18 years old at the time. And I was so caught up in always calling, how's Richard? Where's Richard? Where's Richard? Because I was always traveling. And all of a sudden I go, I have to call Richard. And Richard is sitting there in Australia saying, Mom, I am Richard. I'm here. And I'm going, oh, that's cool.
That is so cool.
So so he was brought up as my partner.
That's
As a matter of fact, when he got, just like you understand that?
I totally understand it.
He didn't compete. As soon as I had a husband that didn't love him like he should, I said, my son is number one. I'm not raising a husband.
Right.
I'm raising a child. And when each husband wanted to have more babies, I didn't want to have mine, yours, ours. I didn't want Richard to feel that he's competing with anyone. So it was a very conscious decision that I was only going to have Richard, and Richard was going to know that he's number one and that he's going to get as much of the good things that I think you need in life.
Yeah.
Music, so it's piano.
Yeah, he did piano, tennis.
Yes, tennis.
Private schools.
Soccer, private school. Yeah.
And you provided that all on your own.
All on my own. No alimony, no child support. And it was probably a great motivation. He was my motivation and inspired me to go to work and give him all the things that I felt he needed to have.
How
And he was, yes, so it was.
But you were designing his life. I mean, you were architecting it. You were producing it. You had a vision and a plan, and then you put all the elements together, and that's going to continue with what we talk about of the entirety of what you do.
Yeah. I didn't sit there and know what the future is. It was really more about what I felt you need to give a child. And I really felt very strongly about education. And I felt very strongly about being able to be a role model. And things just happened.
Magically.
Magically.
Who was your role model?
My mother. My mother was she was
You have to tell this story because it's
Very
like a
quickly.
movie, right?
Yeah. Well, very quickly, my mother was a Holocaust survivor. She was 16 years old when she was taken with her family, 5 brothers and sisters.
Where were they living?
In Czechoslovakia. And the Nazis came in on Passover evening, said, pack up your bags. You take just whatever you can in a bag, and we're taking you to camps. And the camps were the death camps. And so she first went to a place called Bergen-Belsen, and then to Auschwitz. She parted with her mother. Eichmann, with a big dog, was right there pushing this group and that group, and pushed her mother. Her mother waved to her with her little brothers and sisters. She was 16 years old, and pushed her to the side, pushed the sisters and brothers to the side, and she never got to see them again because they were exterminated in the camps. So my mother, from 16 to 18, 19, was working in the camps on different tools, and because she was strong, she was valuable. She survived.
So she was valuable. Wow.
Yeah. So I was brought up with a woman who never left Auschwitz, a woman who never got over
Of course.
what happened.
Oh, my goodness.
So the tragic part of our life also became the motivation for wanting to see a better world. When you're brought up with a father who lost his 6 brothers and sisters, and a mother who lost all her 5 brothers and sisters, and you're brought up in a home where every day the suffering of the loss is felt, you look at life from a different perspective. And for my mother as a survivor, another part of survival was, what do we do to make money? And my mother and my father both ended up in a DP camp in Italy. He came out of the Holocaust. My mother came out. She was 19. My father was 23. And it was...
And they were in Italy.
In Italy. So I was produced there because my dad...
No wonder you're so artistic.
That's it. My father fell in love with my mother. She was petite. She had a beautiful body. And
Gorgeous.
my mother fell in love with my father,
I
who had a
goosebumps.
beautiful voice.
I want to just cry. This is a beautiful story.
Beautiful. And they both lost, remember, mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers. And in this camp, they get to meet
They
each
find
other.
each other, right.
So my father says, I want to go to America. My mother said, no, I want to go to Israel. And my mother wins. And they come to Israel. Actually, they come to Palestine. And my father went to fight in the Independence War. And then Israel becomes Israel. And then we lived there. I'm born in a prison camp, which explains why I always want to be free. Because when my parents, my mother was 7 months pregnant when she came off a boat, the Exodus boat, 2 shores. The British were, preventing anyone from coming to Palestine at the time. So they swam to shore, got caught, and were put into the prison camp. So I was born in a prison camp, and today it's a museum in Haifa. And I tell the world that I need freedom all the time because I was born in this prison camp. So life goes on. My mother and father started business in Israel. And after 10 years of living in Israel, almost 11 years, my mother, who's a fashion designer, and my father, who's the engineer of the knit.
Right, and they were the first?
Collaborated, became partners in the business. So I watched a mom and dad that collaborated. And my mother, I think, married my father because he had a beautiful voice, but she said, I don't want you to be a singer, you won't make enough money.
Oh, no.
Yes. So use your engineering background, which he had, and I will make the clothes and you will make the knits. And they became amazing partners.
How beautiful.
So amazing that they had stores all over Tel Aviv and were invited by, at that time, Jonathan Logan, a very well-known design company, and they sponsored my mother and father to come to America.
Wow, what a great story.
Yeah.
What was the name of their brand?
Chevy Chase by Frida Originals. And my mother was Frida, and Chevy Chase was the brand that they bought into.
Did Chevy Chase steal your parents' name?
Actually, my mother thought so, but branding at the time, who thought of it, Like here you have Auschwitz, from the ashes of Auschwitz to the glorious windows of Bloomingdale's where she had her fashion in the windows.
Oh, how wonderful.
It was like an amazing survival story. And I, as a kid, I'm 11 years old, I watched my father and mother, literally, my father all through the night in the circular machines, which makes the knit coming down, and my mother pattern cutting. And you're not going to believe this when I tell you, I had no interest in fashion.
No.
None.
But creativity and the creative process you did.
Work ethics. Tremendous work ethics. And it's interesting, I just thought of what I'm wearing. My mother was also the costume designer for the Broadway productions in Israel. It was called Habima.
Habima.
And I remember the actors one time coming to our home where my mother would measure them. And I remember looking up, and it was a show about cats. And
cats.
Everyone was wearing exactly what I'm wearing today. And it became the outfit for me for the rest of my life. I'm mostly in black. I mostly have, if I wear the pants, they're usually tight, and the turtlenecks. And this is exactly.
That's your look.
That was the look.
Yes.
That was the look. And my mother couldn't understand why I can't get into high couture fashion, because that's what she did.
But look at Karl Lagerfeld. He always wore the same black, the gloves, the sunglasses.
Yes.
And the tailored jacket.
But he can get away with it much more because he's a man. And he had this gorgeous white hair. And he puts his glasses on. And he was much more dressed than most men. But we women, and I hope there's a little part of empowerment in this discussion.
Yes, there is a lot of empowerment. The tulips have risen.
Oh my God, I love them. I love them. One of my favorite flowers,
they're
by
mine
the
too.
way. Yes.
Yes.
So it's an interesting, non-planned, but in retrospect, it has so much to do with what I was exposed to. And today I work practically 7/24 because it's almost like I didn't know any better. And my son Richard,
I can be like that too.
is 7/24, except that he found a way to enjoy taking off a day or two because
But you taught him the pleasures of like tennis and cooking and the theater and music, and so you instilled that in him. But speaking of what you're wearing,
yes,
you have to say where he went from Mattel.
Oh, from Mattel.
After Barbie.
Could you guess where this dress is from?
I would think one of my favorite places to shop when I was growing up, the Gap.
The Gap. Now,
The
does
Gap?
this look a Gap? Yes. You see the label? This is a Gap, G-A-P.
I love it. And you're chic and you're stylish.
And it's exactly what I wore when I was 11 years old.
So
And it's exactly what I'm wearing today, and I'm comfortable. This is my very comfortable being. And to have a son who now I don't need to wear my Chanel clothes, and I don't need to wear my Louis. I can wear the Gap. I can wear my denims,
I
which I
love
love
when I saw
denims.
you at Rock and Roll Man and we were celebrating Barbie and you were all in pink with the Gap.
Oh.
with the hat and all pink.
Yeah.
He had just gotten the position and Barbie was getting attention. That was the summer.
Yes, yes,
You were radiating.
yes.
It was wonderful.
Well, it took 20 years for a little plastic doll who was too skinny and too blonde
I know.
and irrelevant and discounted. This is true.
I loved Barbie. I had Cher dolls. I had Barbie, and then when she'd get pregnant, she'd have
I
sex
didn't
with
know.
it. Well,
She got pregnant?
Well, I would make her pregnant.
Oh.
I would take a Fisher House little person and put it upside down, and then I'd have my grandmother make her Bob Mackie gowns,
Oh, I love it.
so she could wear it during her pregnancy.
Fisher Price was also Mattel.
Was it?
Yeah, Mattel
Oh, at least
owns
I was
Fisher
keeping my
Price.
brands, and I didn't even know it. I
And
was
what
only
did you
8.
do with Ken?
Well, Ken was okay, but they just have sex.
Sex. So
That
they
was
had
it.
sex.
They had sex, and then he'd hang out and they'd have dinner. But she always was a fashionista.
But did you see the last part of the movie?
Yes.
Talk about sex. Do you remember where she went?
To the gynecologist.
Exactly.
I loved it.
Exactly.
I know, because she's feeling her power.
She now-
And her sensuality.
Yeah.
She's no longer plastic.
See what you did?
I didn't know
You
it.
didn't do, but a cultural transformation
Yeah.
took place in the world. In the world, this is like the hottest movie
I
in
know.
the world.
I know. I just hope.
Who would have thought? And
I had everything. I had the Barbie dream house, the car. I had the
Wow.
camper. My granny Z, we were Polish. She worked at Sears and Roebuck, and she would make sure I had that wish book.
yeah,
And it was a Barbie, everything.
everything. But then there was an era where the mothers, when did he go to it? 20 years ago? So it was the 80s, 90s, the Me Too generation, the women's generation, Gloria Steinem. What are you playing with that? I don't want my daughter exposed to this skinny person who's blonde. So what's interesting is we each have to kind of look at ourselves and go, what is the image I want? And what Richard did, my son, which I'm so proud of, is he empowered
All
each little
shapes.
girl
Yes.
to be who she is, be able to do what she wants to do, and be able to be her own person. So if you were black and a little bit, a heavier size, that was
beautiful.
perfect.
Yeah.
And if you were a special child with special needs, you were in a wheelchair.
And you were
That's how
beautiful and you're
beautiful.
perfect. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And you, you instilled that in him, that he could be who he wanted to be.
I would love to think that I was the role model.
You were the role model.
Which I take
you
it.
are.
But he used to say, Mom, you're so tough. You're tough on me. And now I feel, in retrospect, maybe I was.
But it's good. It was so funny. My parents were in the food and wine business. They were chefs, and we'd go to Kroger, the Krogarium in Indiana, and all the other kids got to eat ho-hos and ding-dongs, and my mother would say, they had like a 5-star French restaurant, and my mom would say, no artificial foods for me. People look in my cart, and I'd get so upset, and she'd make me these beautiful things for lunch, and I was like, I didn't realize how good I had it. And now looking back, I don't eat processed foods rarely. I mean, if I do, occasionally, but I just don't have I eat farm to table, or everything's fresh and we cook it, and I thought she was so awful.
Yes.
And now, moms,
Yes.
you know best.
Yes, yes, the influence we have
Yes.
over our children or over people close in our lives is amazing. And you're
Yes.
right about the food because, you know, people will say to me, oh, you're so thin, you're so thin. I'm thin because I was brought up with a mom and dad that didn't eat much sweets, salads, Mediterranean style.
Of course, the best
and
diet
so
ever.
it was just part of being at home and didn't think of it as,
Right,
you
that's
know,
me too.
so it was it points out the influence we have and how we touch the lives of each person in our lives.
Right, not just our
Not just
children,
our children.
but it's everyone else.
Absolutely.
I want to
Absolutely.
segue into this. Let's first go into talk about your real estate career.
Okay.
And then I'd like to continue this conversation and move into your school, continuing education, and how you've influenced so many people's lives here in the real estate industry, well, in so many ways.
Yeah.
So let's start with how you became, in the real estate industry.
Okay. So very simply, I have a degree to teach. And I realized when I started to teach in Richfield, Connecticut, that 18,000.
I played that playhouse too.
You did. They have
Yes,
a
I
great
did read it there.
playhouse.
It's wonderful.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Well, Richfield, Connecticut,
It's what a beautiful magical, and that market there. it's so
beautiful town, beautiful. And I had a beautiful house, and I couldn't afford to send Richard to private school and give him the tennis lessons. I really couldn't. So I needed to find a job when I was teaching that is after my job teaching that would be a supplement. And a friend of mine said, well, real estate is great because you can work any hours, any time, and there's no ceiling here, and you could do it at your own pace. And everybody needs apartments.
That's
everybody
true.
needs a house. So she said, you know, I have a friend who's looking to convert their rental units to condominiums, and he needs someone that's going to help him decorate the apartments. So here I find myself in this decorating mood.
And do you call that staging?
Staging.
So it's like being here in.
Yes,
This
let's
is my
stage.
decoration. Yes.
This is staged.
Yes.
So if I want to sell you this particular little living room, putting fresh flowers and sitting here looking like this is the way we live all the time, this is staging.
Yes.
And while I was staging, a little lady comes out and she's crying. What's the problem? Oh, the landlord here is converting this building and he wants me to either buy the apartment or have to leave. And being brought up in a home that my family, with the first dollar, bought a piece of real estate, and my mother would always say, I'm never buying a one-family house. It's going to be two-family so my tenant can pay me rent. So I was brought up thinking, you should never have a landlord. So here I am talking to the little old lady, and I said, why are you crying? You should be happy because now you can own it. But I don't have any money. I don't have any money. I said, do you have a child? Do you have children? Do you have someone in your family that maybe can buy it for you, and then you could stay on as a tenant? Or, you know, prices go up, and then after a year or two, it could go up because you're only going to pay $25,000 for this apartment. Well, can you talk to my son? Can you talk to my daughter? And before I knew it, 300 residents are calling
you?
Esther because now I'm coaching.
Right.
I have no license to coach. I have no idea, but I have only one thing that I know is, wow, an opportunity to own, that's American dream.
That is an American dream.
My parents came to America for the American dream. The first thing they did was buy a two-family house on Rolfe Avenue in Brooklyn. So I was exposed to my family's dream. And here I'm in the middle of, your dream can come true. Before I knew it, the landlord, who they hated, David Paul, God bless you, calls me up and he says, listen, Esther, that was on one Sunday that you all of a sudden are creating a following of people that really are convincing. Maybe, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $500 for every person that decides they're going to buy it or their son buys it. And I went, you will? So I started to come in on a Sunday. And all of a sudden, two people, $1,000 for the day. Remember, this is 30 years ago, 35 years ago. My son is 10, 12 at the time. I'm raising this child.
That's incredible.
And I'm going, David, can I come on Tuesday afternoon also? He said, you can come to the office anytime you want. I will pay you $500 for everyone that you converted from a rental to a condominium.
How fabulous.
I converted 100% of the building.
All right.
Yeah. And I went, I think I found a way to help other people, to coach other people in the importance of real estate, their home, the importance of creating wealth. Creating wealth. My God, they bought it for $25,000. 2 years later, they sold it for $50,000.
Right, right.
So there became equity buildup. Some rented it out, which was positive cash flow.
Right.
Equity buildup, tax deductions, the American dream. Bingo.
Wow.
Wow. Plus, I was making a few $1,000s a week.
A week in 30 years ago.
Do you know what that paid
Yes.
for?
Wow.
Private schools, tennis.
Everything you visualized.
Everything.
Right.
So I all of a sudden became independent. I could leave at 3, 4 o'clock after I give the cookies and everything. I can put Richard to sleep at 8 o'clock and then work the whole night.
Wow.
And that's what I did. And the discovery of being able to make people happy, create wealth for them, and create a comfort level for me financially where I was beginning to accumulate assets. How? David Paul at one point said to me, look, I don't have right now commission money for you. I owe you $4,000 or $5,000. I said, David, you have to pay me because I've got to pay the headmaster for Richard's school. He said, I'll tell you what. We have an apartment, 6-cook place. Why don't you not put a down payment? You don't have to put it down. Buy it. I'll help you take out a mortgage. And instead of the $5,000 or $6,000 that I owe you, you can have it without down payment. No, I don't want to do that. I need the money. He says, look, I can't give you the money. And by accident, I got it. I rented it out. All of a sudden, I'm going, hey, I'm getting a monthly positive cash flow. This is nice. And then I said, David, as my commission got bigger,
don't pay me anymore.
As my commission got bigger, I started to say, what's your next projects? Oh, so we went from in Richfield, from Casagamo, all 300 units that were rental that I converted to condos. 2 minutes away, he bought another 350 units called Fox Hills Condominiums.
Oh, my goodness.
It was called Fox Hills Rentals.
Okay.
And said, I'm going to convert Fox Hills. And hired me, of course,
Wow.
to do the whole conversion. So I went and I got my license. I gave up my teaching position because I thought
You were
I
busy.
can make much more
Yes.
money. And yeah. And so that was the beginning of how real estate came about. And then
Tell about your
magic.
Tell about your school.
Yes, well, that happened because now I finished Casagamo in Richfield. I finished Fox Hills. And I was finishing my second marriage, by the way.
Okay.
So on a personal level, I did marry a lovely guy who wanted to have children, and I said no. And, you know, I didn't have time to even have children because I was working
You were
7,
so busy
24.
working, right?
Totally.
And raising.
Totally. So I looked at Manhattan, and there was only one condominium at the time, the St. Tropez,
Where was that?
on 61st Street, I think, in Manhattan. And I decided I'm going to get closer to Manhattan so that Richard can spend more time with his father, who lives in Manhattan. And I know how to convert rentals
Into
to condominiums.
Yeah.
Let me get into the business of rentals and condominiums. And I hooked up with some developers who were amazing partners. And I partnered up with the first co-op that we converted to, first rental we converted to co-ops, and got involved as one of the first beginners
Wow.
in conversions.
How exciting.
Exciting. So I
Wow.
had a great run, never thinking that I'm selling real estate.
You were of service, always of service.
Always.
Always.
Always, how do I enrich your life? How do I make you great?
Right.
And then I realized that I love to teach. And so I had a little more time, and I ended up getting married for the 4th time.
We skipped the third one.
Yeah, he was an entertainment attorney,
Okay.
by the way. And yeah, and it was great, but I helped him. I also, by the way, was attracted to men that I can help, coaching. You know, my first husband, he worked for my parents, and then he ended up being, I think, president of Calvin Klein.
Oh, my gosh.
And my
So
second one
fashion
became VP of Restaurant 21. But each one, when I married them, had no money.
And you
And-
converted them all.
Because they had goals. I like motivated people.
I do too.
And if I met a guy who was motivated, then I can inspire
Well, it's
him.
exciting because you share the dream and the
Yes.
journey, and
Yes.
it's fun. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning.
Totally. And when they became successful, when the second one unfortunately did die of leukemia, but the third one was an entertainment attorney, and he loved to write. So I said, go write. So I supported his writing. When he finished his 2 or 3 books, he was successful. I no longer had the interest. And so it was always about me feeling that I need to help. I was a caregiver. I was a coach. I need to inspire. And then I met my 4th husband, who was a college professor.
Oh, interesting.
And I just got off the plane from Israel with being in class in the University of Tel Aviv, going for my master's, and I fell in love with the professors. So I get off the plane. My first phone call is a potential client. Hi, I heard you're a real estate agent. I'm looking for an apartment for my daughter. I said, I just got off the plane of Israel, and I don't really have time. And he said, Israel? I love Israel.
I want to
Oh
go.
my
someday.
God. 3 husbands I had, and they didn't like Israel. They're all Jewish. But here I'm talking to someone who loves Israel. I used to be married to an Israeli, he tells me. I said, you were? And you're still talking to Israelis? And that began the conversation. Plus, when he told me what he does, I said, college professor. Oh my God, I love professors. I just got back from the University of Tel Aviv, and I love professors. I love teachers.
Wonderful.
So he came, and he came to tell me that he's looking for an apartment for his daughter. And guess what happened?
You fell in love.
No, I first found his daughter an apartment.
And now she's your daughter-in-law?
Yes.
Oh my God.
We fell in love first, and we got married first. And then, different story, my son Richard, who at that time was at Bloomingdale's at the, he was a buyer for Bloomingdale's, and Dana, the minute they met, it was like, oh my God, here's her father who's been married 3 times. Here's his mother who's been married 4 times.
4 times.
4 times. And under the chuppah, when we get married in the Jewish tradition, is Richard holding one stick, Dana holding another stick.
Oh, how
And everybody's looking at the two of them because they're so gorgeous. Oh my God, I think something is happening here. And can you believe that's kind of like it's a real estate story.
It is.
Everything
It's a beautiful
is real
story.
estate.
So we only have a few more minutes, and we have so much. Esther, I could have you on like every week, but I do want to talk about
Yes.
your school.
My school.
And how you're not only within the nucleus of the
Right.
family, how you've reached out and changed the lives of so many very famous
Yes.
real estate brokers here, Douglas Elliman.
Right.
It's interactive, it's fun, and it's high. People are at a high pressure, and
Right.
you bring the entertainment factor in.
Yes. So marrying a college professor who also was the dean of continuing education and knew how frustrated I was in real estate with continuing education, because when you have a real estate license every 2 years,
Right, you have to.
and Barbara Corcoran and I, good friends,
She is marvelous.
hated it. We used to sit there in class and go, they don't even know what they're talking about, these teachers. And I said, I came home and I spoke to my husband. I said, Ben, this continuing education is so idiotic.
Right.
I said, I can't stand it. And they're throwing me out of class because I bring a pillow and I'm on the floor and I'm being defiant. A girl who was born in a prison camp can't be imprisoned with this education.
Right.
He, being the dean of continuing education for over 30 years at City University, says to me, well, why don't you start a school? I said, a school? Oh my God, I can have my own school.
Yes.
And sure enough, I went to the Department of State and I said, Ben, would you be my partner? And of course, I was brought up with a mother and father that collaborated and corroborated.
Me too.
And here I'm marrying a college professor who I adore, who's gorgeous, smart, intelligent. His daughter is now my daughter-in-law and my stepdaughter. Well, now I understood the reason I'm supposed to have a school. And to make a long story short, the first person I asked was Barbara Corcoran. Barbara, will you come and be my instructor?
Oh my goodness.
Lou Rudin, the number one, the Rudin family. I
Right.
said, Lou, would you come and be my instructor? And I started to ask all the movers and shakers
Oh, how marvelous.
and say, we have 22 and a half hours.
Fill it. Let's
Fill it.
architect it. We'll
I'll-
produce it.
Exactly.
Right.
Didn't realize it, but my topic was investing in real estate, the American dream. I'll help you find an apartment, put down a little down payment, and I will help you grow your wealth through real estate. So I would do 2 hours out of 22 and a half hours, and the rest I became the Oprah.
Right. And you would have people come in and do massages and
Yes, while everybody
entertainment.
was, oh my God, yes.
love it.
Like, on the street, I would pick up like this jazz singer in the subway and say, I have a place for you to come. And what I did was I brought it to the highest level, the St. Moritz Hotel at the time, to the
Right.
penthouse. This is
Something
a
that
profession.
brings people up.
Exactly.
Right.
Raise the level.
Right.
So I went to clubs, I went to hotels, the Russian tea room, the Empire room, the New
You're
York
a
Athletic
woman
Club.
after my own heart. I love it.
You had to come dressed. You had to come
Yes.
look like, I'm going to spend $1 million or $300,000. I want someone who looks professional. I want someone who's intelligent. I want someone who's trustworthy. I want someone who's smart. And who can do it? Education. So having a real estate school, and my teachers were the superstars of the industry to come in, devote time. I never paid anybody. Never in 25 years. And guess who was the sponsor? I was.
Wow.
Because I could do brokerage, made enough money in brokerage
That's beautiful.
to do the love and hobby that I
And
have.
giving
So
back.
it's my legacy. It's giving back.
And what is the name of your school?
Academy for Continuing Education.
Academy for Continuing Education.
And if you want to find it, it's easy. realestateacademy.com.
Okay, we'll put it on the
Easy.
lower.
realestateacademy.com.
Great.
Or if you want to find everything I do, it's esthermuller.com.
Great.
And then you could see
the
that.
whole bridge. So
That's-
this is such an incredible story, and there's so much
Yeah.
more to talk. I quickly want to talk about Israel, the Riviera, what you're doing,
you.
and now you're into artist management.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and it all makes
You
sense.
want all my secrets? Do you understand all the secrets
I do.
I'm giving you
I know,
here?
and I have goosebumps. I am like, it's interesting because when you tell the whole story and things seem random, but they're not, and they all fit together in a
Yes.
puzzle.
Yes.
What you're meant to do.
Yes, what
And
I'm meant to do.
and the people you know, and
Totally. Connecting.
and you're doing
Connecting
it
to-
all in service.
Totally. It's totally, you know, I have 2 grandsons from my boy and girl. One grandson is at Boston University graduating now and just called me today to tell me I got into the master's program of global marketing at Boston University. He's on the tennis team as well.
Wonderful.
And my other grandson, who is a swimmer at Colorado College. Those are 2 from my son and my great daughter-in-law that I got.
Wonderful. Now you're dealing with creating an entire
Yes.
resort in Israel,
Right.
on the Riviera.
Right. Totally. So how did that happen? Remember my story? I came here, I was 11 years old to Brooklyn. Well, I didn't tell you how unhappy I was because I wasn't an 11-year-old that was taken out of a horrible lifestyle. I was an 11-year-old that lived on the Mediterranean in a place called Netanya.
So you lived there.
I lived
no,
there.
I had
Yes.
no idea. I thought this was something that
That's-
you found.
This was my home. And what happened is I went back home. And by the way, my parents, after 20 years of living in Brooklyn, moved back to Israel.
And are they?
My dad, God bless him, passed away 3 years ago at 96, almost 97. And my mother passed away 2 years ago at 95. And God bless them, Holocaust survivors who we used to say from the ashes of Auschwitz to living in the most magnificent place in a hotel.
Now I want to
In a
cry.
hotel.
I just having seen these pictures. This place is so beautiful, and now
gorgeous.
knowing your whole story.
Yes.
Your story is part of this whole place.
Came around. And the mayor of Netanya is my cousin. And I'm the president of the hotel, which is like the Plaza Hotel. It is residence and hotel.
And hotel.
And 90% of the residents live all over the world, like myself. And when I come to my apartment, but you don't know that it's an apartment because it's part of the hotel.
Right. Like.
And when I'm not there.
Yeah.
So Netanya now to me is part of my childhood. I want to create the community of my friends here in America and to bring them in. I go, why Florida? Bal Harbor is the sister to Netanya. It is magnificent.
Bar Harbor in Maine?
In Florida.
In Florida. Where is Bar
which is
Harbor?
gorgeous. Bal Harbor.
Oh, Bal Harbor. Okay.
Bal Harbor is a very high-end,
Oh.
sophisticated, beautiful town near Miami.
Okay. I love Miami.
Okay, so you love Miami?
I just got back from there.
You'd love
yesterday.
Netanya.
Okay.
And who lives in Netanya? My favorite singer in the universe. He is the Frank Sinatra,
I
and
know.
even greater.
I know.
His name is Dudu Fisher.
Dudu Fisher, and he sang the theme song for you.
Yes, we
And he
wrote the song, sang the theme to invite people to Netanya. So when you go to my site, esthermuller.com,
Yes.
Dudu not only sings the Exodus song, which is our ancestral countries, Israel. This land is mine. God gave this land to me. But also Netanya.
Which is very swinging and
very.
Sinatra.
Hello, my good friends. I found my new space. A wonderful place to start again. Ooh, I wanna stay. Hello, my good friends. I'm calling to say, you've got to see it for yourselves. I'll try to explain. The beaches are golden, bar is open, beautiful sunset, sea is glowing. You need to come and see it with your eyes today. Hello, my good friends, don't wait any longer. Just grab your things and catch a flight, I'm waiting for you. I found my rainbow in the sky, I'm staying, Natanya caught my eye. You need to come and feel it with your heart today. Hello, my good friends, so much here to do. It's growing fast, it's looking good, all it's missing is you. The city's jiving, always smiling, yeah, it just has that silver lining. You need to come and try it, fall in love today. Natanya, Natanya, so glad that I found ya. I'm coming to stay, yeah, I wanna play, I'm right here beside ya. Just look in my eyes, these city lights are going to catch you by surprise. You are invited, come and fall in love today. Yeah, Natanya, Natanya, so glad I found ya. I'm coming to stay, yeah, I wanna play, I'm right here beside ya. Just look in my eyes, these city lights are going to catch you by surprise. You are invited, come and fall in love today.
So are you trying to create like that vibe, the Fountain Blue
Yes.
vibe?
I'm trying to create the vibe that, yeah, I want to go somewhere, first of all, spiritual. I'm a spiritual person. For me, the country is not just about being Jewish, it's about spirituality. And if you believe in God, and you believe in God strongly, there's no more amazing place to visit and to see what the history is. And understanding it as an educator, that's the beauty, understanding the ancestral real estate that belonged to the people over 3,000 years ago.
Natanya.
And when people go, what do you mean? Yeah, Natanya.
So Esther, I could be here all night, right?
Yes.
But I want to close on a few thoughts.
Yeah.
You've had this rich and full life. And if you were going to say, okay, I have reinvented myself and I am a brand. Give me 5 words that would describe who you are.
Raise and praise.
For your podcast.
Raise and praise.
For everything that you do.
For Esther Muller. I love to raise.
You do. You raise people up.
Someone's spirit, someone's energy, someone's life.
Yes.
I love it. And I love to then show off.
Well, that's the fun part.
I love to go, oh my God. I know you when we needed to get those skills together. I know you when you went around and thought, oh my God, she's making it so tough. My assistant for years would say to me, Esther, everybody wants to work with you until they work with you. Why? Because they couldn't believe that I really work. I work it. So when I have a vision and I have a mission and I have, so in essence, I think of myself as a coach, as a teacher.
And now a TV star.
And now, oh my God.
You're a manager, an artist manager.
I know.
You're a producer.
I know.
You're a real estate.
This is crazy. I need so many hats. I don't know what to do.
You're now building a whole place in Israel, Netanya.
Yes.
I mean, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Life is so exciting.
So exciting. And I only have the realization now.
And you're in love, and you have your nucleus.
Did you say I'm in love? Yes, I'm in love.
I mean, your story is so beautiful.
You like it?
I love it.
It's coming from, and I must tell you, because there were tragedies along the ways.
I know, but
And yet the survival of it, the fun,
tulips.
the tulips, and look,
They're
not even dropping, and we're still
and
here
we're
in
talking.
conversation.
We're inspiring the tulips.
But I think they're going to sleep.
They will
slowly,
in a little
because
bit.
tomorrow they're going to come and wake up again. I have to tell you that speaking to you, talking to you, I don't know how this is all going to come off.
It's going to be great.
But it's a pleasure. I kind of feel like you're my therapist. So let's talk about my future, rebranding myself. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Esther
you.
Muller, you are a goddess and someone to look up
No,
to.
it's Queen. It's Queen. Queen Esther.
Queen Esther.
Queen Esther. That's it.
I
know
love
my
it.
role.
And I'm Quinn
Thank
Lemley
you.
with Secrets of the
Exactly.
And I'm Quinn Lemley with Secrets of the Stage. And I'd love for you to be part of my community. Watch the episodes of Secrets of the Stage. Go to quinnlemley.com, subscribe to my newsletter where I'm playing. And I would love to hear from you. And I'm on MNN. We air the first Sunday of every month at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on mnn.org, Channel 4, or on quinnlemley.com. Until next time.
Beautiful sunset, sea is glowing. You need to come and see it with your eyes today. Hello, my good friends. Don't wait any longer. Just grab your things and catch a flight. I'm waiting for you. I found my rainbow in the sky. I'm staying, Natanya caught my eye. You need to come and feel it with your heart today. Hello, my good friends. So much here to do. It's growing fast, it's looking good. All it's missing is you. The city's jiving, always smiling. Yeah, it just has that silver lining. You need to come and try it. Fall in love today. Natanya, Natanya, so glad that I found ya. I'm coming to stay, yeah, I wanna play. I'm right here beside ya. Just look in my eyes, these city lights are going to catch you by surprise. You are invited, come and fall in love today. Yeah, Natanya, Natanya, so glad I found ya. I'm coming to stay, yeah, I wanna play. I'm right here beside ya. Just look in my eyes, these city lights are going to catch you by surprise. You are invited, come and fall in love today.